थोड़ा मैं होना नहीं Close your lips, there's no need to speak, 'cause your eyes tell the whole story.
We're going a bit OTT on the Arjun vibe tonight. We are not going OTT. We are celebrating Arjun.
Baby, we can light it up. Hamari kahani could be beautiful, give me a shot. Don't even worry about it, we can keep it hush. You name the place, don't even matter, 'cause I'm in love.
His music. I'll tell you why. Because on tonight's 100% British, 100% Asian, Arjun is our special guest, and I'm going to get inside his head and find out exactly what's going on inside. Thank you for bringing your head to this interview, Arjun.
Yo, how are you, man?
I'm good, man.
Long time.
I know. Well, we were saying this just before you came on. We've done a lot of quick interviews on the phone. You got a new track. What's going on here? What's going on there?
Yeah.
I've never actually sat down with you
in the flesh.
On my show to find out what makes you tick. So I'm really excited about tonight.
Me too, man. Me too.
And you know, we also played the Prophecy track, that, you know, your current single, Alone, earlier on. In fact, during the first half an hour of the show. Deep tune.
Thank you very much.
Deep vibes. Prophecy. You know, I've been supporting since day dot, and he's really weirdly almost flourishing now, like 10 years, 15 years after he started singing. How did that collaboration happen? Because you know what? I almost would never have put you two together, because in a way, I would have said, no, they're too similar. You want a rapper with Arjun, or you want, you know. So how did that collab happen?
I mean, same as you, I've been a fan of his for a while in terms of his production and his music. I do a lot of shows in America and Canada, so obviously we cross paths a lot, because he's very big on that circuit, on the kind of college circuit in America. We've done a lot of shows together. We met a lot of times, and I just love his vibe. Like I did a show with him in Malaysia as well, and I think that's when we actually bonded the first time. We sat down in a hotel room and made some music. And he's a very, if you met him, he's a very chilled out, kind of no fuss guy. Doesn't really, not into the whole glamour of this and posing. He's just very about the music, which I loved about him. And this song basically was originally a song which he wrote a hook to. Just the hook and the production, sent it to me, and I think one night at like 3 in the morning, I got this song, and I was just on a vibe, and I wrote my verse straight away, literally, like I wrote the verse in like an hour, I sent it back to him, and then he wrote his verse, and we finished the song off. But that was like a very spontaneous thing, and at the time, I basically had just signed a deal with Arjn Records, with Universal, so that kind of song I brought into my meeting with Sway, who's like my kind of mentor / exec producer for the album. And Darkest, who's like the head of Island, and played this song to them, and they were like, "Whoa, this is so fresh," because it's obviously very trap influenced. It's quite dark, but it's got a Punjabi hook and a really kind of like just anthemic Punjabi hook. And they were like, "Okay, this song could be like a kind of transitional song for you," because obviously the aim for me now is to kind of push a bit more into the kind of slightly less Asian. Not that there's anything wrong with Asian, but slightly less Asian markets. And this song was kind of like a good lead into that. So this is the first song, which it's a collaboration. So it's Prophecy and Arjun. It's a joint single, because I don't want to steal his song from him.
Of course not.
But it's a joint song which Arjun are putting out as an initial release, and it's kind of a taste of the flavor that I'm about to get into, which is a lot more urban, a lot more R&B, but also ethnically influenced.
Okay, all right. Well, look, we'll talk more about Island later on. If you're listening at home right now, remember the text number is 81869, and the email address is bobby@bbc.co.uk. So Arjun, take me back, man. I need to know about your roots. Like for me, I'll tell you straight. You know, when you got music, you're a radio presenter, music's flying at you 100 miles an hour, and a few names stick out. And I've always been one of them, just because of your success on YouTube, and dare I say it, your good looks, which always helps when it comes to, you know, pop music and vibes and all that kind of stuff. And I know you're beyond pop music as well. So I don't really know. I just know that you're Sri Lankan. I don't really know where you grew up. I don't know where you got educated. If you had a musical education, or if, like a lot of Asian artists, it was kind of like, yeah, bro, I started singing in it, and then they liked it, and then you know. So tell us a bit. You know, take us back to year dot.
Yeah. So as you say, I'm Sri Lankan, so obviously not kind of part of the kind of Punjabi music world, as it were, initially at least. Obviously now a lot of my friends are Punjabi and in the scene, but my roots are kind of like actually, funnily enough, I was in a lot of different. So I learned the 4 different instruments. The flute up to grade 8, like Western classical, not Indian flute, which is not as cool. Sorry, so it's a bit.
So you're one of those schoolboys who actually had a flute case with him, and us other
sadly, yes,
hood boys were like, you know what? We're gonna attack that guy because secretly we're jealous because we know this guy's got skills.
That's so, you know, at the same time, so I was like weirdly like very into garage. So I would like garage, like I used to produce a lot of garage and stuff, and I play the drums and the guitar and try and do a lot of the kind of Craig David, Artful Dodger kind of guitar licks and that kind of stuff. So guitar was my main thing. I was in a couple of different bands, R&B groups, rock bands, jazz bands, soul groups when I was in school. I played the flute, the piano, the drums, the guitar. I played the saxophone for a bit as well.
What an education, man!
So yeah, so I was actually very into music all around, everything, like Eastern, Western, everything. And production was my main forte. So when I was 16, I thought I'm gonna be a producer. That was my main passion, to be a producer.
So you already had your head around the music software and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, I was on Cubase when I was like 14, 15.
Wow.
And then I moved to Logic when later on. But I mean, for me, basically, I never thought about singing. I was always very shy. I actually was very, like, weirdly shy. So I'd always want to be the guy behind the scenes. So I was in a rock band, actually, when I was 14. I would write all the parts for the bassist, for the drummer. I'd play all the instruments, teach them their parts, and then sit at the back and quietly play the guitar behind everyone. So I'd write the song for the singer. So I was always like wanting to be away from the spotlight versus, you know, what I am now, which is shamelessly taking selfies every 5 minutes.
Shamelessly.
but
girls are screaming, boys giving you cut eyes,
so
you know.
It's changed a bit since then. But yeah, so I mean, so early on, production was the first thing for me. Classical music was my entry point because I had to, because my mum made me do it. And then and then
pull it up to your mum, man, because you know that's the stuff you hate them for it at the time, where you get a bit annoyed, and you look back now. Look at look at your skills, man. That's mad skills you got. That many instruments.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, the best thing as an artist is to not rely on anybody if you can. So early on, when you haven't got the money to pay for production or for writing, if you can write and produce your own music, it gives you a head start. You can just start putting music out and start growing a fan base. So I think I'm glad that I did that first. Singing was much later. So university, I started kind of getting pushed by mates to do talent shows, and I won an urban talent show, which is hosted by, actually, weirdly enough, DJ Caper hosted it.
Oh my God.
DJ Caper and Richard Blackwood hosted the talent show. So I won the talent show. It was me and a beatboxer. We won this, and we got our first spin. I think it was one, like, whatever it was, for Choice FM or something back then. And then I started to think about it as a more serious career option. And then, obviously, as an Asian, I had to finish university, and then straight from there, I went straight into production college. So I went into, to learn the science of sound engineering, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then started making music, and didn't really get anywhere for a long time. I mean, for a couple of years, I was just trying to do R&B, and I wasn't really getting any headway, just making R&B songs like Stargazer. That was one of my first songs, Aishwarya's Eyes, about Aishwarya's Rai's eyes. All this kind of R&B stuff that wasn't very Asian, but kind of was just R&B, and what I was listening to, very Craig David influenced, like I said, very kind of.
So he's a real hero of yours, right?
For sure, back then, for sure. And then the real kind of changing point for me was I did it when I basically, being a half Tamil, I was sent this song Why This Kolaveri. That was the changing point for me. I got sent that by a lot of my Tamil mates. And they were like, why don't you just try doing a version of this song? I don't even know why, because I'd never thought about doing remixes or covers before that. So I actually weirdly started off doing my own songs, original songs. Most artists start with covers and then they change into that. So I did 4 or 5 of my own songs and then started doing covers. And that one, it was a remix really. So for me, it was a production experiment. I just took the song, played a guitar riff over it, and kind of made an English version of it and put it out on YouTube. Filmed it in a day in my boxer shorts in my bedroom, literally in my pajamas in my bedroom. Put it on YouTube. Went out for lunch, came back, and it was just, my life had changed already, like within a few hours.
Is it like, mental. When they show those scenes in movies now, when they try and talk about YouTube stars, it's literally, you go out and the screen's left on and the views just start racking up until they're going crazy.
So back then, the views would freeze at, like, I think 301 views. It's like it would freeze, but the likes were like several thousand. Yeah. And back then, like, 1 million views meant something. Now I feel like every Tom, Dick and Harry is getting 10 million views in a day. But back then, it's like 2011, 2012, it was quite a weird thing for a UK Asian artist to be getting those numbers. So it was like, I think 1 million like a day or two. Yeah. And then it just kept growing and growing. And then suddenly the emails started flooding in from all over the world. And we ended up doing like PAs where I'd fly to Malaysia or Australia and sing Colliery and like one other song and then fly back. It was mental. So
That's mad.
just to get on the map and start, you know, I fly there, do all the local promotion like radio, etc., and then grow a name and then come back there later. So
it's almost like you wanted to have a plan, but you didn't have time to have a plan because
Basically.
success came too quickly.
I wasn't ready for it, for sure, yeah. So.
All right, well, look, we'll talk about whether you were or weren't ready for it. I want to know about the distance between Wireless Colliery and then getting signed by Ireland. And I know you've brought in lots of tracks that you want to hear, but I'm sorry, we had it lined up. We got to play it, yeah?
Let's do it.
You don't mind me rewinding back to your early days?
Please do.
Arjun, Wireless Colliery, the track that got him flying to Malaysia, the track that got all the views, the track that quite literally started it all.
You're listening to Gagan Garewal on BBC Asian Network.
I'm not Gagan, all right?
Yeah, I guess it's the kind of crossover.
All right, I think yeah, we haven't got the track. That was a bit of an interview, so we'll just leave that one for now.
Okay.
Because it's live radio, it's all good. You
Yeah.
have brought your tracks in. Let's get one of your tracks on.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, one of the tracks that you brought with you.
Okay, so I've been talking a lot about Craig David as one of my main influences. So this is the first song that I fell in love with. It's called 7 Days by Craig David.
No Gagan at the beginning of this track. All right, very good.
This is Bobby Friction
On BBC Asian Network.
Yes, it's me. But more importantly, I am joined by the one, the only Arjun, telling me about his early days. And look, this is exactly it, Arjun. You know, I remember Stargazer and all that kind of stuff. I remember seeing your stuff on YouTube and the covers and all of that kind of stuff. I had no idea, and this is maybe the trouble sometimes with what the record industry does to people when they advertise something. I had no idea that you were such an accomplished musician as well as a singer. I would have always put you down because of your good looks, as he's been looking in the mirror singing into Hairbrush since he was 7. All right, like Jay Sean. He's been doing this stuff. I had no idea you played all those instruments, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I actually honestly, singing was such a low priority for me. Like singing was like the last thing I wanted to do. I always wanted to be in music as something else, but I kind of got forced into it weirdly. Like friends like peer pressured me into singing at talent shows, like I said, and it was just, it happened. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, I'm glad that it's happening now.
Don't you sometimes, you know, like how an accomplished, like say a naughty boy figure, a producer, they always get a different kind of shine and respect than singers, all right? Singers get the full fame, all right? They get the full effect. They have the time of their lives. Don't you sometimes want to go, I need you to know about my grade A in the flute, bro? You know?
I mean, look, I think it's a weird one because occasionally, like, I do get fans that know a lot of information about me. I think the ones who've been there from day one.
Yeah.
I think the more that I've kind of travelled and gone more towards kind of the T-series and and India, it's become more about the kind of the artist thing and the more kind of, like I said, the Instagram pictures and that kind of stuff versus the actual knowing me from day one. So, but I'm glad that I'm here. I'm here to educate everyone who doesn't know about it. So it's good.
I bet you this is, you know, because I've seen this many times before in the record industry. Your album's going to come out via Ireland. Your star is going to shine even more so. You're going to be even more famous than you already are. And then around about 4 years from now, you're going to be going, look, I didn't go to those flute lessons, all right, for nothing. I need to release my symphonic album.
I mean, look, I was actually told tactically by PR to not mention that I play the flute. I'm joking. I kind of made that choice myself because it doesn't really help your street cred massively.
Oh, come on, you can play guitar and drums and keyboards and all this stuff as
Drop
well.
that in straight away after that. It's the garage MC, but it's fine. But I mean, look, I'm glad that I learned to play instruments because actually, production-wise, it really does help you a lot. I mean, keyboard especially, as a producer, it's very, very hard to produce without that.
Yeah.
I've got mates who use Fruity Loops and Ableton who can produce with DJs, but I think it gives you a different... For India especially, who love melodies and love the strings and the arrangements. A lot of my early covers and mashups were very heavy on the orchestration, like very, very kind of like strings and horns and that kind of stuff. So it helped for that for sure.
Okay, so very quickly, talk me through the path from suddenly finding out you're going to Malaysia. You're going to all these places where there are Asian communities. You're also, as I was always watching you from the beginning, also going to a lot of places where there's specifically Sri Lankan and South Indian and Tamil communities as well. So that suddenly happened. You're already living the life of a rock star, even though you've not actually signed a deal yet. Talk me through from there to like meeting up with Ireland. How that was about a good 4 or 5 years.
5 years ago, yeah. So so I think that
what were those 4 or 5 years like?
So that formula post Coliveri, I realized that actually there was something that that worked, that was unique to our type of identity as British Asians or as westernized Asians. So that fusion of the R&B verses with the Asian hooks, obviously had been touched on by people like Raghav and Jay Sean before, but I kind of modernized it to this generation by taking it a step further and making it like a YouTube thing, like a production experiment where I'd film myself making the song, kind of changing it into an R&B song. So we did like a bunch of these, like Chamak Chalo, Teri Mein. We kept doing it, kept getting millions of views, and I became a YouTuber, as it were. I became like a YouTube artist.
You were. I just from my perspective, that's how we'd discuss you. We'd go, he's that YouTube singer. Yeah. Look at the amount of views he's got. That obviously has melted away as you've done more and more things.
For sure. But, but the weird thing is that YouTube is obviously a global platform. So I'll be touring every continent off of YouTube. I have no mainstream PR, no raid, nothing, just no promotion in every country. But YouTube was enough to be, to do it. And I think that's what kind of gave me that global audience, was YouTube initially. The formula was working so well that it caught the attention of a lot of Indian labels, and they were like, okay, this is something that seems to be working now. The whole kind of English verses and Hindi or Punjabi hooks, whatever it is. They all reached out to me at different points. So Sony, T-Series, Tips, all these kind of guys. And I think it was Saragama first that reached out to me, and I did a remix of Kabhi Kabhi because of that. That's actually what kind of began my Hindi journey. And then T-Series was the one that seemed to be the big boy at the time. We met with them in London and signed a deal with them, like a 3-year deal with T-Series to kind of formalize these songs into like actual releases. I mean, at this point, these songs weren't on iTunes and Spotify. They were just YouTube songs. Yeah. But when T-Series came into it, they invested into it. They started putting money into the videos. The visuals became proper Bollywood style videos and much bigger productions. And then that's when things kind of started to get more global for me. T-Series, I think I was the first artist assigned to T-Series from outside of India, and that formula really was working well. So that was a start for me in terms of the whole kind of the journey of like being a signed artist, as it were, rather than a YouTuber and a performing artist more. The first song we did was Kabhi Jo Baat Ho, I'll Be Waiting. That was a song which I think probably changed a lot of I think that's where the Bollywood thing started, and then I got a lot of Bollywood offers for film songs.
So how do you deal with that? Because I often talk to artists from the independent scene in India, and they always, I'm going to use the following metaphor that the singer Robbie Shergill once said to me. And he said, what you got to understand about India is India's a field and Bollywood's a tree, and that tree's so big that anything growing in the field doesn't get the sunlight it needs because the tree controls the field. So how did you deal with that? Because I suppose the temptation is to go, oh my God, Bollywood have come knocking. I'll do whatever you want, Mr. Director and Mr. PR, and all that stuff. How did you deal with that? How did you navigate that?
I mean, it was a real struggle because obviously being Sri Lankan, not speaking Hindi was a big issue. So I got offered some really big film roles, like from people who were doing big movies, based off my
this
YouTube
goes back to
career.
And also your good looks.
I mean, I don't know about that, but
I won't say it again. But it does make a difference.
I mean, India is a very kind of glamorous industry. Bollywood is a very different kind of industry. So obviously, a lot of it is down to that. But at the same time, had I been in the right mindset, then I was still kind of hoping that I would come back here and break the mainstream here. Had I made the move to India, maybe that would have been it would be a different story right now. But I think for me, deep down, I knew India was somewhere which I turned to because I wasn't getting the love that I thought I should be getting from the UK mainstream. So I think around the time of Coliveri, I signed a deal with Crown Talent, who look after some big acts like Jessie J or whatever. So I was hoping to kind of crack more of the UK side of things, and that was a bit slow. Since the whole kind of since the Asian explosion of the early 2000s, I think the scene had died. There was not enough energy in the scene to really get a deal at that point. We met a lot of labels, nothing much happened. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to India. I'm gonna go to the motherland and attack that because no one was really doing that from our scene really. I mean, obviously the Punjabi scene is different, but in terms of the Hindi fusion thing, I think what I realized was Bollywood is global. Bollywood is so huge. We're from north or south of India, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, wherever you're from, Bollywood is like universally huge. So when you tap into that, even if it's remixes or you know, your versions of songs, it's a global market. The world is your oyster. But I think, you know, the first few songs I did for Bollywood were English versions of songs. I mean, they were in movies, but they were English versions of things because I couldn't really. I mean, I can't out sing an Arjun in Hindi.
Yeah,
Hindi.
okay, fair enough. I get what you're saying.
I became the guy who was the English guy who could do that little English rap, as they call it, English rap section, which is like the like R&B singing. So even Suit, for example, it's so funny because Suit have done really well in India. Obviously, has been a big kind of
big
anthem.
Tune, man. Big tune over here as well.
I've got emails from calls from you name it, from Pritam, from all these guys saying, bro, I need that rap, like that Suit rap. I need that, like that section. I want that in my song. So it's like, I'm like, oh okay, fine. Let me try and emulate. But I think to them, anything that's not Hindi is rapping. So I'm a rapper in India apparently, but it's cool. I mean, look, so I spend like maximum a week at a time there. If I was to go there, I love it. I love Mumbai. I love the whole scene there. I love the social scene there. I just find it really like a magical place where things can happen, but it's also a complete madness. As you probably know yourself, you get there, everything's just hard to, you know, it's so hard to have a schedule because every morning is, you know, you get bumped 10 meetings down the line and you're just...
That's it. You can't travel anywhere. And then also 1 minute they're literally going, I want you to meet my mother. And then the next day they're not answering your calls. Exactly. And you're like, what's going on, man?
Yeah. It takes patience. I think as an artist from here, I'm used to a bit more of a structured kind of, you know, meetings happen at a vaguely, you know, decent time. But I think there, it's obviously a lot of it is down to who you know and how well you're connected. So I spent a lot of time doing that. And I'm glad that I have, because I've made some great friends in Mumbai and South India too. Like you said, I've done 4 or 5 South Indian movie songs as well. Work with the biggest guys in the South as well as the North. So that's been great for me. Obviously, not being Punjabi, obviously all my mates are Punjabi, so I've done a lot of Punjabi collaborations, as you know, with Prophecy, with Guru, etc. And you know, that's helped me to kind of branch more into that kind of Canadian, UK market as well. So
okay, well look, I think, you know, all of this stuff, all hard work always comes back and pays you back, and I think it's set you in good stead for the future, especially with you know, people at Ireland and whatever you're doing next. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Another track, please. One tune, and make it a British Asian one, yeah? We've done Craig David. Pick another tune.
So, going back to my roots of when I was starting out in school and university, this song was massive. It was called Kangna by Dr. Zeus. It's an anthem in my school. So
track. It's when that first boom comes in. Everyone goes,
Asian explosion. Oh, yeah, exactly. That.
On BBC Asian Network.
Playing them tunes, but actually not playing them tunes, because the tunes you've been listening to over the last 40 minutes or so have all been picked by my special guest tonight for 100% British, 100% Asian, Arjun. Can I do like my big kind of Tollywood, voice? Arjun!
Sounds like Kamal Hassan, something.
Yeah.
Rajinikanth.
Oh, God.
Have
Those
you heard
heroes.
of these guys?
Of course I...
Okay.
Bruv, man. Let me tell you right now, I ain't your average Punjabi growing up in Wolverhampton going, Gurdas man bus, all right? I've spent many years chilling out in Delhi. I know the difference between Bangalore. I know what a Malli is compared to a Tamil.
Okay.
I know my Kamal Hassan from my Rajinikanth. Anything beyond that, obviously, I'm not that au fait with.
I think you mentioned a lot more than I know already. So
yeah, but half of my family are literally like, you know, like Gurdas man, innit? It's like, no, that's Punjabi, bruv. That's Punjabi. There is a big country full of 1.2 billion people.
I mean, look, I think to be fair to them, like the UK has been very Punjabi dominated for a long time.
Yeah.
So I mean, they are the most prolific in terms of music in the UK.
Yeah,
so.
And as you've said, Canada's even worse.
Canada's nuts. Surrey, Brampton, it's mad. It's literally like Southall times 10.
I know. Well, I grew up in Hounslow and I went out to Brampton and I was just like, this is Hounslow with bigger houses.
More space, that's true. Very true.
All right, so look, you know, you've talked us through, and I know you're going to hate me saying this, your flute playing.
Oh my God. Mentioned it 3 times, thanks.
Your
stargazing,
your stargazing days, the fact that you honestly were the first Brit Asian musician to really get YouTube and to really utilize it to great effect. And then also the time afterwards. You are now the great brown hope for a lot of people. And that's because of Ireland literally co-signing your career. And I know that that's still bubbling under and all, you know, there's things happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Tell me what's next. Are you being developed as an artist at the moment, or is there literally a plan that you're going to burst on to the scene in March and go, okay, album out in June and I'm back, baby?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been working behind the scenes. I signed a deal with Ireland in 2016, last year, so last September.
In fact, sorry, can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
Bob Marley is my hero.
Okay.
Amy Winehouse.
Say no more. That is
one of my heroes.
Ireland's flagship artist, yeah.
Talvin Singh, one of my close friends and heroes, signed to Ireland, all right? That label does not play games. That label does not sign people and go, okay, you better release a single the next 2 weeks. Did you understand when you first signed the enormity of what being signed to Ireland meant?
I mean, look, yeah, to me, like, Darkus, who's the head of Ireland, president of Ireland, basically has been a cult figure to me. Like, I've always heard his name, like, used mysteriously by everyone in the scene, like, Darkus is this guy. So just to meet him initially, I was a complete fanboying, honestly. Like, I mean, as a fan of urban music, Ireland have really been the ones who pushed it, I think probably the most in the UK, at the forefront of the whole urban genre. Like, obviously, originally it was reggae and dancehall, now it's become across the board. So the roster is crazy. They released, like, Drake and Bieber in the UK, so it's mad, but you know, a lot of it was down to Sway. As I said, so Sway was the guy basically who kind of, I guess, found me, realized that there was this massive market that was tapping internationally, realized that, you know, with streaming, the world is your oyster now as a label, so labels have changed their whole model to basically attack streams. So I mean, like, UK was very important, now the world is important even to UK labels. So Sway brought me in to meet Darkus. I think he really got it. Obviously, he was behind I think Priyanka Chopra's campaign as well, in the US and the UK. And I think he understands how important. Look, I mean, world music is really exploding. Like, right now, Spanish music is every second song on the radio is J Balvin or Shakira or something like that. Yeah. So Spanish is huge. It's a matter of time before there's another massive, you know, South Asian smash or East Asian, whatever, who knows. But the world is now completely connected. Spotify has a global chart. Everything's global. So the right sound with the right, you know, vibe has a chance of being a worldwide smash. So that's where we're kind of at. We're trying to create that. Let's see if it works out.
This is what I really like. I like the fact that they haven't turned around and gone, all right, we've signed you and your album's out next year. Because, I mean, this is just, we won't get too record industry on this, dear listener, but I always talk to people about Prince, all right, just because I'm a massive Prince fan, and, you know, may he rest in peace. His first international single was on his 5th album.
Oh, wow.
And that's the point. Back in those days, labels developed artists. Labels would say, we're not going to release an album for the first 3 years because we want you to find yourself. And honestly, I think in this day and age where that's gone, Ireland are, like, quite literally, no pun intended, an island by themselves still doing this. So, you know. Yeah.
I mean, look, truth be told, we're actually very close. The last kind of year or so, I've been behind the scenes. I've been doing a lot of collabs, as you might have known, because it's been a lot of featurings Arjun on songs, because I've been trying to hold back my own project a little bit to make this album. So I made probably 60, 70 songs in the last kind of year or so. Probably 60, more than that, actually, probably much more than that. I've been working with lots of amazing producers, like some crazy people who are behind massive hits right now. You know, it's a very small industry. I've realized the whole kind of songwriter producer world. Everyone's in with the J Hustlers and Skeptics and Storms. You know, they're all connected in some way. UK urban is super strong right now, so it's a great time to try and push, you know, urban music, R&B music. There's still not really been an R&B champion apart from Craig David. So no one's really come through the R&B route, but the sound of it is really, for me, I think it's the best thing I've ever done by a million miles. Like, when you hear the album, it's a lot more, just everything about it is a level up. Top line, songwriting, production, everything. I've co-produced a lot of it. Sway's been very keen that I am very hands-on with the productions. I've often started a little draft of a track.
I'm going to say again,
someone much
that flute playing is paying dividends now.
So, I mean, look, thing is, I very rarely meet A&Rs or people like that who let artists trust their own instincts and let them do, you know, what they want to do initially creatively. I thought, okay, they're going to take control of everything that I'm doing. They have definitely put me in some great sessions with people, but I've also been able to, you know, to direct a lot of it myself, and I'm still very involved creatively. So anyway, so the next couple of songs I think we're releasing, I've had a big hand in, but they've been additionally produced by much better people than me, who are much better producers than I am.
That's fine. Good
which is
people
great,
meet good people, and magic's made. You know?
I mean, for me, it's been very educational to work with such amazing, producers and writers. It's helped me up my own game production-wise. So I'm very excited. It's coming very soon. To be honest with you, I can't give you an exact date because I always do this. And
That's fine.
I never ever,
We're just happy. Look, we're happy you came in today. We're happy that you talked at length about your career. And I think for a lot of people at home, it's good. Just remember, you heard it here first. You know what's going to happen at some point in the next year and a half. You can go, where did this Arjun come from? I heard it. What happened after YouTube? And that's when we will offer this interview as streaming. The quiet years, the studio years, the development years.
Exactly. I mean, speaking of streaming, I've been force-fed this by my PR. Make sure you guys stream my new song Alone on Spotify. It's out right now. So that's a taster of what's coming. So if you're tuned in right now, go to Spotify, stream Alone, and get ready for the level up coming very soon.
All right. Thanks for coming in today, bro.
Thank you very much, bro.
A joy to speak to you. Thank you for just being so open and so chatty and not just coming in and going, yo, 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 it's Arjun. It's always a pleasure for someone to just come in and just open their heart. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, bro. Good to see you.
One last tune, man, from your playlist.
All right. Speaking of the UK urban kind of sound right now, I think, one guy who's really at the front of this is Kojo Funds. He's an Afro kind of artist. Song with Wedge Street 2, who's a big lyrical MC who basically I think he's signed to Island too. I might be wrong. But this is that song called Tell Me. It's out right now. Check it out.
Spread the word. Interview available on the BBC iPlayer radio app. Hopefully as soon as the show finishes.